Hey, what's up everyone, and I welcome you again into this challenge. This is like a rendering challenge, and today we want to find out the difference between Windows PC and MacBook Pro. Okay, so I have almost what it seems to be the same, but the only difference that I must state in the beginning here is that the MacBook is having an SSD drive, okay, which the Windows does not have. But I would like to see the rendering power between these two machines. So in order for us to get started, first thing first is let's find out the specs from the Windows, and then let's also find out the specs from the Mac itself. So as you can see here, I've got an Intel Core i5 CPU, 666 third generation, right? And it has got 4GB RAM, 64-bit operating system, and blah 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 blah. But the other thing that I can also show you guys that is installed on the PC is it's got my desktop, and then I'm also gonna show you the graphic properties. Alright, so as you can see here, we have got the system information here, which shows us total available graphics memory is 3GB, but dedicated video memory is 1GB DDR3s, right? And we have got CUDA cores 128. Well, everything looks great. And shared graphics is 2GB. Okay, so 2 plus 1, you are getting the total graphics memory of 3GB. Alright, not so bad. So now the test is gonna involve applying certain effects inside of Adobe After Effects, and also apply the same effects inside of Adobe After Effects on a MacBook, and see the rendering powers between these two machines. Okay, so first thing first we need to do is we're gonna create a new composition, and we're gonna make this composition cinematic 1920 by 888, and then I'm gonna click OK. Alright, so basically that's how our composition looks like. Okay, so once that is done, then I'm gonna bring a picture and then I'm gonna pick this picture that says After Effects tutorial. I'm just gonna import it, and then I'll also bring it inside of the composition. We're gonna hit S on the keyboard just to bring the scaling properties, and then we just scale it down in a way that we are able to see it, and then I'll also hit P to bring the position down so that we're able to see the top of the buttons, more or less. Okay, so the effects that I wanted to try out cannot be applied on this picture, but I'm just going to create a new solid, and then we're going to call these particles. Alright, so we go to our effects panel here, and then we go to simulations, and then we click what we call CC particle world. Okay, and then I'm gonna switch off this picture behind, and then I'm gonna work on this. So all I wanted here is I don't want the physics, there must be no gravity. Basically I don't want anything that's as it seems if it's falling down. So in order to take that out, all we need to do is bring the gravity to 0. So now we have got something that is shooting in front of our face. So from there, what I can do is I can also go to producer, and then I'll expand the X, and then I'll also expand the Y's. then we know that our particles are not shooting from one direction, like from a single point, as you can see from the center. Okay, so already I'm beginning to get a drag, like it's almost as if the system is drag, seeming that this effect is too hard on this computer right now. And then that is now before I even apply, because I'm gonna apply 2 more effects on top of this CC particle world so that I see if Windows is gonna be able to render that out. And then I'll do also the same thing on a Mac, and then realize which one is gonna be able to render more fluently. So as you can see that the computer has already dragged already. There isn't any program that is running right now except the screen recording. So I would say, okay, let's wait, let's see how it's gonna go. Alright, so while that is happening, I'm also gonna go on a Mac and then create the same thing and see what happens. Alright, so welcome to the MacBook version. And then on Mac, we're going to do the same thing, but then at the same time, we'll need to see if it's going to render. So far, we have seen that Windows have crashed and it's not coming back. I'll just have to wait. I'm waiting for Windows to come back. But while we are on a Mac here, let's create the same thing. So what I'll do is I'll do the same thing that I did inside of Windows, which is I went to composition, new composition, and then I created a composition of 1920 by 888. Okay, so that's gonna be 1920 by 888, and then I'll click OK. So it's, and then I'll bring the picture that we used on a Mac, which is on desktop, After Effects tutorial, and I'll bring it in, and then I'll put it in the timeline as well, and then I'll hit S, and then I'll scale it down and bring P again and take it down as well, somewhere there. And then I'm gonna go to layer, and then I'm gonna create a new solid. It was white. Okay, and then I'm gonna go to my effects panel, and then I'm gonna go to simulations, and then I'll select CC particle world. Okay, so as you can see, that's the same thing we saw on Windows. I'll switch off the bottom picture as well, and then I'm gonna go to my gravity, which is under physics, and then I'll turn that to 0, and then you can see that we're still getting the same thing. And then when I play here, it's able to play. Okay, right, so the other effect that I wanted to add on top of this was effects. We go to effects, let's select the solid layer first, and then we go to effects, and then we select blur and sharpen, and then we go to camera length blur. Click on that, and then I wanted just to turn on this to create a bokeh effect, but at the same time I also wanted to switch it off and then go and play around with my particles a little bit. And then I select that my particles should be white when they are burning, and then when they're about to die, they can also still be white. That is when they're about to fade out. And then we increase the max opacity, and then we turn the particle type to faded sphere, and then we can still go to our producer and then expand the Y's, and then expand the X, and then we can also add the depth. Okay, once we have that in place, let's play. So that's what I wanted to create inside of Windows. Now, if from this point, if we can switch our lens blur effect, which is this one, you'll see that that is what we are getting. Okay, so from there what we can do is we can increase the radiance, and then you realize that we have something like that. And then the third effect was like now to boost the colors so that we can see them. So then to do that, I'll go to Effects, and then I'll go to Color Correction, then I'll go to Curves Adjustment. Then at least I'm just gonna go to RGB and change it to alpha. That means I'm just gonna affect the white dots, and then we turn that all the way up. Now since we got that, then if we can play that, you will see that we are getting something like this. Okay, but now you can see ever since we started, the playback is beginning to drag now. If I can play that, you're getting something like that. Okay, so in order to advance this, then I would say I must go again to the particles and try to change the colors from the birth color to the death color. So the birth color can be darkish blue, and then the death color can still be white. So on a Mac, as you can see, I managed to get what I was thinking about, unlike on Windows because it is still crashed. So with that in mind, the only thing that I forgot to show you guys as well is about this Mac. So as you can see from the specs here, you have got Intel Core i5. This is 2.5 gigahertz. Unlike on Windows, it was 3 point something gigahertz, but this is 2.5. And then the memory is still 4 GB, just like the one we saw on Windows. But now you must understand that this is a laptop. It's getting powered by a battery. It's not getting powered by electricity itself. So it's very surprising that Windows has to act in that way. And as you can see here, our graphics is Intel. It's not even Nvidia, which is like third-party graphics. So the memory here for the graphics is 1.5 gig, which I would say the Windows is having 3 gig already if you can combine each and every memory that is contributing to the graphics memory. But as we have seen that the moment I only applied the CC particle world effect without even adding the lens blur and the curves adjustment, the computer actually just crashed, froze. It's not even awake right now as I am speaking. So I would say for that, if you are planning to buy a computer for visual effects, for rendering, I think a MacBook would be a great choice for that, because as you can see from the about here, this is a MacBook for 2012, mid 2012, so it's not even 2020, it's 2012. And then if you look at the Intel Core i5 that I showed you there, it's also more or less 2014 or 2013 type of computer box. So you can see that, okay, when it comes to investing, but at the same time also when it comes to buying something that can last longer, I would suggest that MacBooks or maybe Apple products are the best. But if you know that you want to be buying things every year or every 4 years or maybe every 2 years, then Windows is a good place to start with. Alright, so if this video has contributed any sense to you guys, I would suggest that click the subscribe button and also you turn on the notification button so that at least I can keep on making videos like this to show you guys certain things that are possible and certain things that are more or less not possible, but possible because they can be done, but not nearly as comfortable as you can do it on a Mac in this instance. This has been Pasha Media. I'll see you guys in my next video. Let's keep creating, let's keep supporting each other, let's keep doing what we love. See you in my next video. Cheers.
Happy birthday to you, my sister. Bring out the cakes, bring out the drinks, bring out the friends. Happy birthday to